Al-Qaeda, a terrorist group in the Middle East, led by Osama bin Laden, wanted to drive out Americans and American influence away from the Middle East. These members of the Al-Qaeda brought weapons onto 4 airplanes and hijacked them. They planned to crash their planes and destroy important buildings while killing many people, including themselves. 2 were flown into the towers of the World Trade Center. 1 hit the Pentagon, and 1 failed after the passengers fought back and crashed the plane before it crashed into its target. It crashed in an open area in Pennsylvania, and they were heroes. This terrible day defined George W. Bush's presidency because there were over 3,000 people killed, but almost everyone was affected in one way. Airports stepped up security and would make sure this would not happen again. It encouraged the war in Afghanistan. In the decade after 9/11, deportations were doubled because of the racial tensions and the mistrust of the Middle Eastern Americans. 9/11 was the big reason why the U.S. started the war in Afghanistan. They wanted to show terrorists that they would not accept terrorism. The war in Afghanistan started out as a civil war between the Afghanistan government and the Taliban, which is an Islamic political movement with very violent views. The Taliban won in 1996 and took control of Afghanistan. When the U.S. joined the war in 2001, they had 3 goals. They were to eliminate the Al-Qaeda, remove the Taliban from power, and have bin Laden captured. The war in Afghanistan is the longest war in U.S. history and is still going on. 13 years later, Afghanistan is a much more safer and more stable nation. Afghanistan has much less Taliban and Al-Qaeda control. Also, Osama bin Laden has been killed. People still question whether it was worth the impact it had on the U.S. The U.S. began to go into recession, and the economy has worsened. Over 3 million Americans entered the military service, and thousands of soldiers were killed. Obamacare, also known as the Affordable Care Act, was signed by President Obama in 2010. Barack Obama's health care ideals was a major reason why he was elected into presidency. President Obama's and Obamacare's goal was to lower the rate of people without health care. It has had a big impact on some American lives. It has made health care much more affordable. It will also improve the quality of health care. Before, you could be denied coverage or treatment if you had had health problems in the past, leaving many people in tough financial situations or without insurance. Before Obamacare, buying health insurance was like buying car insurance, where if you are a dangerous driver, your insurance is more expensive. Obamacare does not discriminate based on gender. Women used to pay much larger fees for health insurance. Looking at these 2 maps, you can see how Obamacare makes health insurance cost the same whether you are male or female. Barack Obama is the 44th President of the United States of America. He is a liberal Democrat. One of his main goals is to end war in Afghanistan and take all American soldiers out of Afghanistan by the end of 2014. He wants to let Afghan soldiers finish the war against the Taliban. He also has made Obamacare. It is one of the biggest changes of healthcare since Medicare. Obamacare will make healthcare more affordable and decrease people's spendings on healthcare. President Obama has to deal with a large national debt and expects to lessen it. Withdrawing the troops from Afghanistan will save $1.1 trillion. He will also raise income taxes, which will bring in another $1.5 trillion. Another important issue to President Obama include improving public education. Also, Social Security. President Obama is the first black president of the United States, and it really shows how far the U.S. have come since the Civil Rights Movement. Before March 3, 1991, Rodney King was just a normal African-American man who lived in Los Angeles. After he was beaten by 4 policemen for resisting arrest following a high-speed car chase, he became a symbol for racial injustice and police brutality. The beating was very unnecessary and malicious. The beatings were witnessed by George Holliday, a journalist. He then videotaped the beatings, and soon it was being aired on television across the country. Very lucky to have the beating on camera. It is very different than it is now, where you can just take out your smartphone quickly and record something. People in Los Angeles were angry when they learned that the policemen involved with the beating were let go by the local jury, so they started the LA riots. The LA riots resulted in 55 killed people, 2,000 injured, 7,000 arrests, and nearly $1 billion in property damage. A federal jury sentenced 2 of the 4 policemen to 2.5 years in prison. The incident with Rodney King raised concern over police treatment of minorities and also brought discussions of the quality of juries and location of trials. He was a very different civil rights leader. He wasn't chosen like Rosa Parks or Martin Luther King Jr. He was just a troublemaker who happened to be videotaped getting beat up. But almost everyone knew his name. Rodney King later successfully sued the city for $3.8 million.